We have an American Cup mixed team competition roster, and it's so good, you guys. The Swiss court has sent the bronze medal floor case from Paris back to the Court of Arbitration of Sport to relitigate, and it's looking like they're saying Jordan needs to get her medal back. So we're going to give you all the details on that and the NCAA news this week. Today is February 3rd, 2026, and welcome to GymCastic, the #1 gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica, and I'm here with Spencer from the Balance Beam Situation.
Hello.
Get all the news, all the links, all the hilarious live at the moment of the meet live blogs.
Immediate reactions when
Yes.
scores come up in NCAA gymnastics, and you're like, "Did we? What is?
Who?
If you lunge into a lake out of your Yurchenko 1.5, is it a deduction? Nobody knows anymore. It's unclear."
Okay, so we're going to talk about the Swiss case and what happened with Jordan's floor medal and Barbosa's floor medal. But before we get to that, I do want to mention that we gave a very specific comment on why we are totally off of Twitter. We stopped really linking to anything or discuss or like commenting at all on Twitter after Elon Musk did the Nazi salute and revealed his true nature. But we still aggregated news there. But then we talked about why we have nothing to do with Twitter at all anymore because they are making child pornography with full knowledge that they're doing it. And to back up our reasons for leaving Twitter.
And you usually don't say child porn. I mean, just because you usually say child sexual.
I usually say child sexually abused material, but yeah, child pornography is so horrifically. It's a horrific. Yes, it's such horrific words put together that I feel like I want to punch people in the face right now with what they're participating in, and so I am using that. Yes, very intentionally, but yeah, you're right. We usually don't say it, but today I feel like it's needed. Yeah. So there's a story in the AP today because Paris prosecutors have raided the French offices of Elon Musk's X, formerly Twitter, as part of an investigation into spreading child pornography and deep fakes. Yes, they have been banned. Twitter's banned in a couple countries because of the horrific crimes they are committing, and now they have been raided by an EU country. So that's why we left Twitter, and that backs up our reasons for leaving. Let's talk about the bronze floor.
Yes, the bronze medal, which was not remarkable at all in Paris. Yeah.
So the Swiss have spoken. So after the Romanians in the night of the final put in a case with the Court of Arbitration of Sport, it was decided that Anna Barbosu gets the bronze medal, Jordan Chiles medal. She is no longer a bronze medalist on the floor at the Olympics. And now Jordan appealed that decision to the Swiss Supreme Court, and they accepted that and ruled that CAS, the Court of Arbitration of Sport, must re-arbitrate the case.
Big deal.
Huge.
I mean, we've been waiting for 900 years for this decision. We're just sort of like the Swiss Supreme Court will decide when at some point in the future, and we've all just kind of been in a holding pattern, but this is the first real development in a long time in this case. So they made 3 decisions, essentially. They said one of the appeals they approved, which is that there's video evidence that was not included in the original CAS hearing that took place. It was just cobbled together in 1 second while the Olympics were still going on to try to figure this out. They didn't have the video evidence that says, actually, you said that this inquiry was submitted, 4 seconds too late and therefore it was invalid. This video evidence says maybe that's not super accurate. That's just kind of when it was recorded in the system rather than when it was actually filed. The Swiss Supreme Court said, yes, that's worth reopening the CAS case. You have to retry this case basically with this new evidence that was not able to be presented at the time because the case basically happened too quickly. No one had time to put this together or even realize, as we talked to with Cecile in our live show, who goes into a little bit more detail about this in our most recent live show, about like they hadn't even thought. Like she was like, I didn't even have time to think of, there's a documentary crew that has video footage. So that's now taken into account. The other two issues that were appealed, one was on the lack of impartiality of the person trying the case, that this person had previously worked with the Romanians and therefore was not free of bias in this case. That was rejected. And also the appeal for Sabrina Voinea that she had a fake out of bounds taken was also rejected on the basis of field of play decisions are just kind of field of play decisions. You needed to have inquired that at the time, and they didn't.
Yeah. So before we get into exactly what happened with the... before we get into what happens next with the CAS decision and going back to CAS, let's talk about what happened again in Paris and go through this step by step for a reminder for people, because it has been a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half.
So in case you don't have it all memorized. Okay, so let's start, Spencer, with Sabrina Voinea.
Oh, okay. So let's get back into it. So we're back in the mode of 2024 floor final.
That's right.
So the three people in question here, we'll go through Sabrina Voinea, Ana Barbosu, Jordan Chiles, because we had Rebecca Andrade wins gold. Simone goes out of bounds 150 times, wins silver. Those are not, we're fine. Everyone's fine. We're fine with this. Then there are three potential, I guess, bronze medalists, and then everyone else is like kind of so glad they messed up in that final and they didn't score high enough to be part of this mess. But you have Sabrina Voinea, who would have won the bronze medal if not for an out of bounds deduction that was not an out of bounds. We've kind of agreed at this point that it's a fame out of bounds deduction that was taken from Sabrina Voinea. She is therefore out of the medals, would have needed to file an inquiry on the out of bounds. They did not do it, or did it incorrectly.
No, she was. So one thing, the Romanian press reported that the video angle that the judges were using to take an out of bounds, because there's no judge on no line judge on the floor like you see in NCAA. The Romanian press was like, the judges are saying it's because of that video angle that they couldn't see she was out of bounds, which if that's all you're looking at, you can see that, but they still made a mistake. So there's that opportunity, like you said, to do an inquiry. So for my sources who were on the floor at the time, who I talked to, we know that Voinea was specifically told you cannot inquire on the E score. You can only inquire on the D or the out of bounds, and the out of bounds is the thing. You have to inquire out of bounds, and she said no and inquired something else.
Right. An incorrect inquiry that was not eligible to be inquired, didn't inquire the out of bounds. So it's sort of been ruled by CAS and now by the Swiss court as well that you did, basically your coach did it wrong. And that's a field of play decision. And if you wanted that bronze medal, you needed to have filed it correctly to begin with.
Yeah. So she has
what they've said.
Yeah, no right to appeal, which sucks for her. Because there's an opportunity. If the judges mess up, there's a built-in fix. And her coach didn't do it. Who's also her mom, so that makes it a whole thing. Speaking of which, so police were
that's
called.
Not really what makes it a whole thing. All the others, recent episodes, is kind of what makes it more of a whole thing.
Yeah. So this past week, police were called because there was a reported assault at a hotel where Camilla Voinea, Sabrina's mom, was. And this is in the Romanian press. And the allegation is that Camilla Voinea, was assaulting her husband. The husband then went on to Facebook and said, my marriage to Camilla is over and being a stepfather to Sabrina is over. And they're getting a divorce. So that everything seems fine in the family. Everything is smooth and there's no problems. It's a mess over there.
Regardless of that, I do think she had the third best routine in that final and should have
She should have,
but
she should have won bronze. Right. The judges messed up and then her mom messed up, and that's, yeah, she should have the bronze medal. I think we all agree with that. That's the clear. So then we have Anna Barbosu, also from Romania. Did a super clean routine, made her Gojin cleanly, which is the leap in question. And there was no question. There was no doubt. She maximized her bonuses. She maximized her execution score, and she is solidly in third place, has the bronze medal.
When the initial scores come in at the end of the competition, pre any inquiries, Anna Barbosu is in third place. Then we get to Jordan Chiles, who competed last in order, which ends up being very significant. She originally gets her score. It puts her in fifth. She did not get credit for her Gojian, her tour jeté full, so 1.5 total twists. The judges originally said that's not around for credit. They inquired, they put in an inquiry, and it was approved. The superior jury said, yes, this was around for credit. You get credit for this. The difficulty score was changed. Jordan Chiles moves up into third place after the inquiry is filed, and she's now the bronze medalist. That's how the medals were awarded. The podium photo with Simone and Jordan Chiles bowing to Andrade, they were the silver and bronze medalists when the medals were awarded. Then Romania files the appeal, as Jessica talked about previously, that the inquiry for Jordan Chiles' score was submitted over time.
So the emergency team of arbitrators assemble to arbitrate this case. USAG, because of wrong emails, has less than 24 hours to gather their evidence. Cecile told us that she had no time to prepare, didn't know what was happening, just talked about what happened on the floor. Sources I spoke to in Romania and the US say that they all agreed to share the bronze. And then the FIG sources told me the IOC said no. The IOC did not want to set a precedent for having these ties and just going like, oh, we'll skip CAS and we'll have a 3-way tie. Because you know how cheap the IOC is. They're only like a $4 billion organization or something, and they don't want to share medals. So Anna Barbosu, now at Stanford, was awarded the bronze medal. Jordan Chiles lost the bronze medal. And then Jordan Chiles appealed to the Swiss Supreme Court. And we have a breakdown of everything that happened second by second, including how the Simone Biles documentary was included later in the evidence that went to the Swiss Supreme Court. And we also have interviews that we'll link to from the director of those, Katie Walsh, who has a new documentary out about figure skating that's on Netflix now. And, you know, she talked about kind of like not realizing that she had that. And she was like, oh, wait, maybe this would help. So you can listen to that. And we have a whole playlist of all the updates on that. So now we get the Swiss appeal decision finally. And this decision going back to CAS. But before that, we get an interesting statement from the FIG. So the FIG says,
if the FIG gave a statement that was like, if you just typed defensive press release into AI, this is what it would generate. That's just what I would say.
That is the perfect way to put this. So the FIG statement says, quote, about their own judging, quote, identified a lack of a reliable in-competition mechanism to verify compliance with the inquiry time limit. I was like, yeah, this is the problem. That's nice that you are admitting that in print, but they said that they have fixed the system now. So we are going to go into this in depth about how they have fixed the system. But let's first go into the Swiss decision and what we think is going to happen with CAS. And if there's any, I don't know, clues in the Swiss decision.
It's always a risky prospect to try to predict what CAS is going to do. Because, like, who knows? But yes, tell me your clues.
Yeah, I mean, so there's only a few reasons that there's like 4 or 5 reasons that the Swiss federal court will even accept your case. And one of them is like due process. And I was like, oh, well, this should be a due process violation because less than 24 hours to get ready for this. for a CAS case should have been one of the violations, but that wasn't it. They were like, oh, the evidence. The decision says specifically, there is evidence that supports that the inquiry was on time, which shows the documentary footage shows Cecile saying, inquiry, Jordan, inquiry, before the 1 minute time limit for the last person up to put their inquiry in is over. And at the time, a verbal inquiry counted as that ends the clock. So the routine ends, you have 60 seconds to put your inquiry, and all you have to yell is inquiry for Jordan, clock stops. The Romanian said that didn't happen, but that the documentary footage shows that it did, and the Swiss specifically point to this, not just the video of it, but the audio of it. And a verbal inquiry counted as a verbal inquiry. So I just feel like they're telling CAS, you have to take this into account. So based on the fact that the appeal was about the inquiry not getting in on time, and the Swiss are saying, you have to take this into account, to me, that's like, you fucked.
This is what you need to decide. Yeah.
Right. We're telling you what to do right now. You have, because how can you deny that?
So my question is, do you think there is a possibility that this would actually, like, at this point, CAS takes this case again, has it for another 95 years probably. Do you think the only possible correct solution at this point is a co-bronze medal situation to Ana Barbosu and Jordan Chiles? Do you think that's actually plausible that we get to that point? That they're just like, yes, you're both bronze medalists. Congratulations. We're sorry.
Not unless there was something. I think Romania would have had to put something in the no. Because even if Romania...
The short answer.
No.
Short answer.
Yeah.
No.
Because even if Romania said correctly, look at these two leaps, Ana Barbosu got her a Gojin around and Jordan didn't. And only on inquiry did they give her the benefit of the doubt quarter turn to get the Gojin in. But you can't put a CAS case in on that. You can't
because that's
decide
the
on
same as Voinea's, basically. That's a field of play decision. So they're not going to take into account, like, was the superior jury correct in giving the credit to the inquiry? It's just the procedure. It would suck so, like, the whole thing is stupid, but, like, to now also remove Ana Barbosu from being a bronze medalist. I mean, who knows who gets to keep what hardware, but officially just say, like, actually, no, you were the bronze medalist for a year and a half, and through no fault of your own, now you're not, would also be terrible. Like, terrible in the same way. You can't take... If you didn't break any rules, you can't take people's medals away. And that was true for Jordan Chiles initially, and it's true for Ana Barbosu now.
Right. I mean, I feel like the only people that they take their actual medals away, my understanding is if you are busted for cheating, like doping, they take your medal, they escort you out of the village like you are persona non grata. But yeah, I just think the right thing to do is for the FIG to be like, fuck the IOC. We are going to have our own ceremony like Romania did, where they awarded a bronze medal and a car to both Voinea or whatever they gave them, an apartment, a car, a castle, I don't know.
Yeah.
Dracula's
does
Voinea
get the stipend? The medalist life stipend?
I think they both get it. Yeah, Romania was like, you're both bronze medalists, we don't care. And I think that it would be great if the FIG said, we made the mistake. It is us. It was on us and the judges that we put in place and the systems we put in place that failed you. So we are going to award all of you especially made. Sorry that you got jerked around so much.
But that's kind of what is this? That's like that time Simone got a bowl. It's like, what am I supposed to do with this fake medal?
Well, because it's not a bowl, it's an actual gold medal, but it's just the sorry for the fuck up one. And it can have a Gojin on it.
you want like some I'm sorry flowers? A Gojin on it. But not actual Gina Gojin.
No, we don't want that. See all of our episodes on Romania about that. Yeah, no, it would be something cool. I don't know.
Yeah,
like that cool podium and how great and historic the podium was. And
then you photoshopped Ana Barbosu also enjoying it. Like I also battled Andrade. I'm on board. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think what's so interesting about this is like this, I feel like this, what has happened has made Jordan Chiles. Like she is more famous because of her medal being taken away. And that has been, I don't wish this pain on her, but it has been better for her career. And has done so much for her because of the story of her being victimized by this system. Which we were all shocked when this decision came out because it's like, well, they don't make decisions on field of play stuff, and then they did essentially, and that was shocking. So, but for Anna, like Anna's already been through so much because Romania, and she has been singled out and treated poorly. And there's a journalist that's also on the Olympic Committee who lost their credential from the FIG because of cussing her out in the mix zone, amongst other things. Like she's been like attacked by the Romanians, and maybe it's because she is the best gymnast besides Voinea competing for them. And so if she was competitions, I don't know why she was singled out. But now she has the laugh because she's getting paid to go to school at Stanford, one of the best schools in the world. But it is the great thing about the mistake that was made in this case is we got that historic moment of Simone and Jordan on the podium bowing down to, like you said, to Rebecca Andrade. We got the first all-black gymnastics podium in the history of gymnastics. And it's historic. It was a moment. It was incredible. It was Black excellence and joy all together. It healed our souls. And everything that happened after, I'm like, I don't care because that moment was greater than the sum of the mistakes.
So is this so in terms of, how we have our own history, like we discuss Andrea Raducan as the 2000 Olympic all-around gold medalist because she won in the competition. So I think for our purposes, they're co-bronze medalists.
Yeah.
So I feel like, but even if the CAS case goes stupid, which it usually does, like something more stupid happens as we go to try to fix the original stupid, I feel like we need to take it upon ourselves, just like as the community and like as a community of Wikipedia editors, just to be like, this is what happened. This is history, not whatever CAS says. They're just both bronze medalists, and that's what we're doing.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah. I think that is the correct gymnastics history. So let's talk about how the FIG said that they fixed the system. So this rule change has been out for quite a while. This isn't new, but it was very interesting to see how the FIG were like, oh, this is still going on, but you guys, we took care of it. It's all fine now.
We couldn't possibly have known anything was wrong, and now we took care of it, and we're going to release a statement that doesn't mention any of the gymnasts, because it's not about them. It's about us covering our asses.
Proceduring.
Something like that.
Yeah. So let's go into the details here. So I have a little chart I've prepared for you, Spencer.
Oh,
I know how you love
that's the most beautiful sentence you've ever said. Well done. Just good job. You prepared a chart. So and I assume you didn't use AI to prepare this at all.
Obviously, no, I didn't. Good. I did it all by hand.
Then I allow it.
Yes. Okay. So the first thing in the 2024 code. So for Paris, verbal inquiries were allowed at the time.
Yes.
Now, what does the rule say?
It says inquiries are submitted via an electronic device or an official form directly to an inquiry officer.
So the verbal inquiries,
which is good because, like, the idea that you have a specific time limit to make just like wave your hand, but then we're gonna say it's like, it was entered into the system 4 seconds too late, so it's late. That makes no sense. So yes.
Exactly. And in this case, we know specifically that from the documentary that Simone tried to inquire on her floor routine, which is kind of funny because she knew that routine was a mess, but she was like, yeah, whatever. And Laurent yelled to enter her inquiry, and we see him disappear. We see him saying inquiry for Simone. And then when they check on it, they didn't record it, which means they didn't hear it. So let's go on to the next rule, and we will talk about this a little more, because one of the problems is that in 2024 in Paris, everybody has two, you have You had time, 2 minutes to put your inquiry in. But the last person in the rotation, because chop, chop, we got to get out of here. We're done. It's time for lunch. Only had 1 minute. That has changed now. Even the last person has 2 minutes to hit the electronic device button or say, I'm filling out my form and register it.
Yes. And it's one of those things where I understand the idea behind wanting a quick time limit at the end, because you don't want exactly the situation where the competition ends and then the result changes. That's one of gymnastics' biggest enemies, because that's such bad sport where you're like, oh, I finished watching the meet. We see it at least once a week in NCAA. Like, oh, the meet is over. I know who won. Turn off television. And then it's like, oh, we evaluated the inquiries and actually everything you just watched, that didn't happen and the result has changed. Like, it's the worst. So I understand it, but it created, problems that maybe no one had anticipated before that were like, oh, real bad. So at least it's from 1 minute to 2 minutes now.
Do you anticipate any possible problems with this 2 minute thing? No, let's go through the whole thing and then we'll get to the problems. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. So
the answer to do you anticipate any possible problems with any document or rules ever is yes. Always. Of course there are going to be problems.
Always yes. Okay, so the withdrawal policy. In the past, there was no mention of withdrawing a inquiry, but I just assumed you can't withdraw an inquiry once it was in. But now they've actually written down, which is one of the things about rules. You have to fucking write it down. You can't just be like,
Gymnastics
here's the rules.
has never learned that lesson. It's just like, we talked about it with Fran in the bar earlier, so it's a rule.
And
I mean, barely a joke.
It's barely a joke. So now officially they cannot be withdrawn, which is like, okay, good that you wrote that down. Authorized personnel. So now, only this is very weird because before it was accredited coaches, could be the people who,
submit
the form. And it's a little weird that they've been like, no, it has to be a designated now a federation authorized representative, coach, or delegation member. Judges are strictly prohibited from this role.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the idea is trying to eliminate conflicts of interest. But
the question for me here is like, you're saying judges can't do this. So in the past, has a judge run over or thrown an inquiry from the stands down on the floor? Like, what has happened that caused them to do this? Because we know famously this happens a lot. We've seen this with the US especially, is that the gymnast and the coach are on the floor. They're like, yeah, it wasn't the best. She's not going to win a medal, whatever. And then we see the vice president of USA Gymnastics for the women's program, or Marta Carolla, yelling inquiry down on the floor. And then they're like, oh, should we put an inquiry in? And they do. That's how Ali Raisman won a medal on beam in London. And we've seen that also at Kitakyushu. This happened as well. What do you think happened that caused this?
I don't know if anything specific happened. It may just be, in general, I like the idea of, me being very like, this is the organization of this person's specific job. Like, you have one person. I think it streamlines and clarifies the process. So, yeah. And you just don't want it to be like your friends trying to inquire to your friends, which is always the trouble with gymnastics because everyone knows each other. So any attempts is always goes weird of being like, maybe you shouldn't be judging like your daughter or something. And they're like, whatever. Yeah, that is prohibited. I know. It's an example.
Yeah. So now there is officially an inquiry officer. This wasn't the case in the past. So basically it was volunteer judges from the local federation, from the French Federation, who were on the floor taking the inquiries. But now there's a very specific role called an inquiry officer. Of course, it will be unpaid and volunteer, probably like almost all the things that FIG does. But now it has to be a judge with national or international qualifications. So they're going to try to find a brevet that knows all these. And you have to speak English to oversee this process, and you have to let everybody know I'm the inquiry officer. What do you think about this?
Yes, have a person whose job is the things. Duh.
Yes. And they have to identify themselves, which I'm like, it shouldn't be to identify something. They should have to wear one of those yellow reflective vests like you're at a hazard site on the road and you have to tell people to put a helmet on and drive slowly.
I mean, if the photographers have to wear bibs that say they're a photographer, the inquiry officer should have to wear like an inquiry bib.
A yellow reflective jacket. Yes.
I mean, I feel like it should be
reflective
red
tape.
for an inquiry.
Red. Ooh, that's good. I like that. And it should change colors when it's accepted.
The bib?
Yeah, the bib.
But what if you have multiple inquiries? Who's bib?
I know, it's just going to be flashing like rainbow the whole time. Yeah. Everyone's like, yeah. So this isn't... Okay, so this other rule, the review and finality of it now. So it used to be that basically the superior jury was like, yeah, this is the final decision and it can't be appealed. Now, what is the rule?
That is... Wait, so you can't... Like, it's still... You can't appeal. Yes?
Yes. But,
yeah, but it's more explicit that, like...
Yeah,
they've said you can't CAS it.
Yes.
Okay, so that's... Yeah, they've said... It used to be this decision is final, and now it's like, this decision is final, and I don't care what CAS says, this decision is final.
Yeah. And also... you have to use their official footage, so you can't be like, I'm in the stands and clearly can see this shit.
You can't have a documentary crew that has other footage that they don't know about.
Yes, exactly. This is why reading FIG rules is like a critical thinking test, and
it's a full-time job, and also it is a mental illness.
This is why you know that you're a gymnastics fan if you also love mysteries and thrillers, because you've already figured out who did it in the first 5 minutes. I read this shit. I can read between the lines. I know what's happening.
By the way, I nailed this newest season of Shetland from the start.
Oh, boom. Did you?
Yeah,
oh, God. I'm not that into this, so I haven't been that. But you knew it was the person related to the other person?
Don't have to spoil it.
But I didn't say who.
I was like, oh, boom.
And lastly, neutral deduction. The neutral deductions are things like you're out of bounds, you're overtime.
Time. Yeah.
So what is it now?
They've basically... It's about the cost. The cost is the change. That you can request to change those without cost. And so it's not actually an inquiry, but it follows the exact same procedures as an inquiry.
Oh, I think this was very much the maybe some people didn't read the rules, so they don't know. Some people
didn't understand the rules, which I will say, if you don't understand the rules, you are normal, because it's all just word salad. Most of these things, and we'll talk about the LA 2028 qualification procedure that came out in a second, but talk about word salads.
Yeah. Exactly. This is why I need a flow chart for everything. I need a visual. And those should also, forget all this branding, beautiful arenas. They should just have the flow chart. You know how like in the US, like in the employee like break area or like the bathroom or your lunchroom, they have to put all the posters up that are like
remember to flush the toilet. And you're like, why does this need to be said? But also I know it does.
They're like, you have the right to family medical leave under the law, blah, blah, blah. This is the minimum wage, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant like, everyone wash your hands before touching the door of the refrigerator that someone wrote in caps.
They need this like lining the walls. Don't touch
Who wrote
anything.
the all caps? Oh, I have a good behind the scenes story about like leaving signs for other people. So remind me on that.
Okay. I did get in big trouble for a sign that I left one time. I thought it was funny, but you know how I think things are funny and other people are offended by them. And I'm like, you guys, it's a joke. But anyway, so let's get to the important part of this. What could possibly go wrong with these new procedures? They're perfect. They wrote them down. There's more words now.
They are better.
They're better. There's more time. There's an official person in charge. So, any thoughts on what could go wrong?
I mean,
holes.
The limit does not exist, but I think there are fewer holes than there used to be.
Yeah. I feel like part of the 2 minutes is really good, and I like that there isn't a verbal inquiry is not what counts now.
That's insufficient. Yeah.
Yeah, like we have always talked about how there should just be a big button because sports is entertainment. So you should have something that you push a giant button. It should be at least 3 feet around, and you should push it. It's right where the athletes sit, so you can easily get to it. And you push the button, and then an alarm sounds in the arena, and there's flashing lights, and everyone's like, inquiry, inquiry. And everyone's seat like vibrates, so they know what's happening.
All of this is a terrible idea.
Yeah. And then, like a game show. And then everyone is waiting for the ooh, what, and then we get a close up on the judges. What are they doing? Blah, 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 they're rewatching, blah, blah, blah. And then we see what happens with the inquiry. Like, make it so easy for people to do and obvious when it actually happens.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be super complicated technology to have basically like a bowling score thing, like when you go bowling, just that your score comes up on, and then you can just hit like you wait in the, you know, whatever gymnastics calls the kissing cry, the flip and yell at your daughter or whatever it is. You get the score, you see it on the screen, and then you can just touch the green button that says inquiry.
Yeah, right, I mean, the problem with the like we have long been like, yeah, have a button, have a screen. And in the last couple meets at Jakarta, they had this in place where they had like a iPad thing on a stand on the floor.
Yeah.
And that's what we thought of, like, oh, you can see what your rotation is, where your scores are, if you missed it, and then hopefully there's a big button that's like inquiry for so and so. The only problem I can see with the electronic stuff is that it can fail if it's Wi-Fi. Everything needs to be hardwired. And you can hardwire everything in arena. Like, that's a nice thing. Like, you wire everything, you tape it down, you put carpet over it, and then some unsuspecting gymnast trips over it later in the meet. This always happens. But
that's true. Like, you're saying
that should be easy to do.
You have to rely on electricity. Like,
no, I'm saying as long as it's hardwired, it should work.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's true for any, like, everything has internet things, electronic things, like, yes.
Yeah. And then the
problem, I think the issue is that gymnastics has been so slow to move away from, like, we must write our shorthand on the piece of paper, and that is how we judge. Like, come on.
Which did you use? Scott Bregman added the judging buttons. For
I'm live blogging during these things.
Oh my god!
I don't have time.
You need to take a break to try these new fun things. Okay, so the only other thing I am thinking about is that there might be a limited number of people who want the inquiry officer job based on the drama.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're willing to be a judge, you're already willing to put yourself up for criticism and scrutiny, because that's kind of the job. And if you were scared of that, you wouldn't do that job at all. Because you could just not. It's not like it's lucrative. So you could just not be a judge if you were scared of that.
Yeah. But otherwise, I mean, I think I'm happy with, in general, how they changed these rules overall. I'm just, there's always something that can go wrong. There's
that we haven't anticipated yet, and then we'll have to do 17 podcasts about explaining it. And then be like, why didn't anyone foresee this?
Remember that time that a bunny chewed the wires and took out all the electricity at the Brazilian National Championships?
An alleged bunny.
Alleged bunny. It was, The word was, it was sabotage. Okay. We have some updates for you. Okay. You can also send us all your feedback about this CAS case and what you think is going to happen and what you think should happen to gymcastic@gmail.com. But our first updates are that we have an extra podcast, 2 every week. We have a fantasy podcast where we tell you all the things that are happening in college gymnastics fantasy and the pricing and who's a steal and who's a hurt and who's like great. And like, Spencer, how'd you do this week? Did you? I
don't want to talk about this week. But also, it's KJ's fault.
Last week you won, but this week you didn't.
Last week I won, and this week through no fault of my own, through absolutely KJ's fault for not putting Elizabeth Blessy in the vault lineup. Vault didn't go great, so but what I would like to say is it's not my fault. Okay. That is mostly the sentiment that I would like to express, is that I have never
done others
anything wrong ever in my life.
Responsibility. Okay, got it.
Correct.
Thank you for clarifying. Yes. This week we have been waiting for this meet for College and Cocktails. What are we watching this week?
Cal at Clemson is going to be very fun. It's Saturday. College and Cocktails is Saturday, not Friday. No behind the scenes on Friday this week. Saturday, February 7th, 5 p.m.-ish Pacific time. Once the meet is over, Cal at Clemson, which is on the ACC network. Former head coaches of Cal, Justin and Elizabeth Crandall Howell, are now head coaches of Clemson. It's the X versus the new Flame meet.
It's Paws versus Claws.
Oh, okay. Who's Paws and who's Claws? Everybody has paws and claws.
Bears have paws and tigers have claws.
Tigers also have paws.
Listen, Spencer, it's adorable and it rhymes.
Okay.
Paws and claws. So we're going with that and you're going to like it.
Okay.
I'm very interested to see if the leotards basically match because they're both all designed by both teams by Liz. So I don't feel like there's a whole lot of new leotards at Cal. But anyway.
So do you wear one of the Liz specials like that? Who was the one they modeled that Leo after? With the flowers? They did a Leo that was
like that Canadian
Garova?
Or Moscow, yeah. The Moscow flowers.
There was someone. They should wear that.
Across the
Cal,
I agree.
Pick that one, Cal. That would be funny.
The cocktail this week is correct. And
because we had corrupt last week. I like the juxtaposition. We'll see if it's correct. I don't know. I'm worried about this cocktail might overpromise.
I'm very excited for this cocktail this week because there's also a cocktail, the Shane Hollander cocktail is out, which looks delicious and has ginger ale in it. And I might need to try them both. Double try. That's might be what I'm doing.
I'm not going to say anything. There are no jokes I could make right there, so I'm not going to say anything.
Was that a bisexual reference?
I don't know. I didn't come up with any jokes.
Okay, so also we mentioned how we had an interview with Cecile and she talks about this. You can buy that live show replay ticket to hear from Levi Younger-Rivar, who's also at Stanford with Anna Barbosu, and Cecile talks about lots of stuff. You get a very different gymnastics-specific angle from that replay show. And the 2026 season pass is now available, so it's 4 live shows for the price of 3, and it's available for a limited time. And again, if you haven't joined our Fantasy League, you can do that anytime because there's weekly winners. Spencer, unfortunately, is not a weekly winner this week, but we'll
always have week 4 of the 2026 NCAA season.
Never forget.
No one can take away a gold medal, my bronze medal. You can't take that away. I'm on the podium.
We also have merch, and Spencer, Valentine's Day is coming up.
Ew.
And nothing, your favorite holiday, and nothing says I love you or I like you a lot or I might have a crush on you that you don't know, but I sent you this gift from the GymCastic merch store to tell you that I understand that you're obsessed with gymnastics and I want you to know that I support you. Like, yeah, getting something from the store. So we have a store. It's gymcastic.com. You can check out the store. And if you have any requests for merch, let us know. And we will work on putting it in there for you. We just finished recording, but I want to give you guys this update. Earlier today, we reached out to USA Gymnastics for a comment on Al Fong's Zoom training that he did today called A Look Inside My Gym. Al Fong has been suspended by the Center for SafeSport from all contact until 2030. Suspended members are prohibited from participating, quote, in any capacity or, quote, at any facility under the jurisdiction, unquote, of USA Gymnastics, USOPC, or local affiliated organizations. Fong recorded 2 television interviews from what appears to be a gymnastics facility earlier this month. I spoke to a SafeSport specialist attorney who told me that a suspended member being on the property for these interviews would violate the terms of the SafeSport suspension. I reached out to the Center of SafeSport, who said that they do not comment on cases, but added that participation, quote, may vary slightly depending on how an NGB defines participation, end quote. Missouri corporate filings show that Al Fong is the owner of Gage Center, which is currently a USA Gymnastics member gym. I asked USAG what the threshold for revoking membership is and if these potential violations of his suspension meet that threshold. USAG responded, Quote, the U.S. Center for SafeSport has jurisdiction over all cases they investigate and have ruled on. Evidence of any violation of a center's sanction should be reported immediately to the center. Violations of sanctions may result in charges of aiding and abetting, abuse of process, and or club membership revocation, end quote. We will continue to follow the story. Okay, we're going to talk at length about the new LA 2028 how to qualify for the Olympics rules. And then we're going to talk about the NCAA rankings this week. But should we do NCAA first and then talk about the LA qualifying? I think we should do that.
Okay. I will go on this journey. Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. So ranking moves. It was an exciting week.
Quick update of NCAA news, because we're mostly talking about like FIG developments in Jordan Chiles, but we're still 2 weeks until new NQS kicks in. So we're still using just season average to rank everybody. In team, Oklahoma retains the #1 ranking this week, despite gasp only scoring 197.550 against Kentucky, which wasn't even a 198. So the gap was narrowed. Florida jumped ahead of LSU for second. So now Florida's in second after scoring over 198 against Arkansas. That was our college and cocktails meet this past week. So we talked about that in depth a little bit. UCLA stays in fifth, scoring 198.15, but stays in fifth. Georgia's up to sixth after a 2-meet weekend, including on Sunday, where Kamara Williams did 3 events, and we're all 995 plus. We call that, that's what we call that the anti-ice bump. See, don't have to be worried about making your political statements and having it affect how the judges evaluate you. If you were worried about that, if you were really concerned about that, Kamara Williams just got 3 995s this week.
Who is in first place in the all-around these days?
Still Jordan Chiles. She got another 39.875. 2 weeks, so 2 weeks in a row with that, 2 weeks with a floor 10, remains #1. Turns out when you do the all-around and you're good at it, you immediately become ranked very high, because Selena Harris did her first all-around of the season. She was in the floor lineup. Now she's second on floor. MJ Frazier did her first all-around of the season, did vault this time, added vault to the other events. And they're now 2 and 3 in the all-around, because, you know, you got to do 4 events to be ranked in the all-around. And other very insightful bits of information from Spencer. So yes, and Anna Roberts of Stanford is down to 4th, but it's still, you know, great. And Anna Roberts and Kaylin Chio is in 5th. On vault, a surprising development. So Hannah Scheibel, which is not said Scheibele, or Scheible.
Yeah. It's not at all how we would say it.
It's not what I was saying, but now I've already forgotten. We got a official ruling on what it was, and now that's gone. But whatever you think it is, it's not. So, anyway.
995.
Hannah Scheibel did vault for the first time and got a 995. So, Twist moved ahead of Jordan Chiles in the vault rankings, because she has 1 and it's 995, and Jordan Chiles got 990 the first 2 weeks, so her average is 9945, so she drops to second on vault, because we're still using average for 2 more weeks. Bars, minimal change. Chloe LaCourciere is still #1. Big surprise, the surprise of the bars ranking, Sienna Alipio is 7th in the country on the bars. Mm-hmm. Bars, Jessica, not beam.
Yeah.
Bars.
Not beam. Bars. Yeah, turns out she's an elite and she's really good at everything and made an Olympic trials.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Beam, also minimal change. Kaylin Chio still ranks #1, and then Faith Torres, and then Sienna Alipio, who is in 3rd. So she's still ranked higher on beam than she is on bars. The world is still not that upside down. On floor, Jessica's favorite #1 ranked floor worker from Southern Connecticut, Abby Royer, did compete again and got another 995. So is still at 995, but is now in second, because Lily Smith of Georgia competed twice this weekend and got a 10 and a 9975. And was like, you're welcome, everybody. So Lily Smith is #1 on floor now. The lesson of the floor rankings this season is,
tell me,
1, have a kick-ass double A. If you don't have that, do a twist-a-thon 2-pass combo routine, where you just kind of do like a Rudy in combination and some leaps. Those are the 2 floor routines you can do in college gymnastics. If you aren't doing either of those, enjoy your 9825, because it's not going to happen for you. Double A, pretty twisties. Those are the only two choices. But that brings me to my pet peeve of my commentator pet peeve this week.
Tell me.
The thing that's driving me crazy.
Oh, no.
Okay. No, not every double layout is huge. Because every single time someone does a double layout, we hear huge double layout. And I'm like, how about fine double layout? How about medium double layout? Some of them are huge. If you're watching Kalia Lincoln, if you're watching Jordan Chiles, feel free to say huge with 55 U's as they do a double layout, a huge double layout. But sometimes we hear huge double layout and it's under rotated and landed short with a step forward. And I'm like, it wasn't huge. It was medium. And the biggest thing you should be talking about is that it lacked amplitude. And that is why she landed short.
Yeah. Thank you for that PSA.
I need to think that you could do a Biles out instead of a double lay. And then you bounce back out of it. Then it's a huge double lay.
I agree with that. We had 2 more 10s this week.
We did. As mentioned, Lily Smith on floor got a 10. And then Jordan Chiles got another 10. So that's 2 weeks in a row for a 10 on floor for Jordan Chiles. So we're up to 6 total for the season, which is below the pace of some of like 2 years ago and plus when it was just everyone was getting a 10. But, it's still 6 in the first month of the season.
I did want to mention something that I've been hearing some rumblings about, which is interesting because this is a new problem for gymnastics, but it's like a normal problem in other sports in college, which is that now that there's 20 fully funded spots on a gymnastics team,
the
ninja level 10s that would have been spread out amongst other teams are being gobbled up by the teams that actually have these 20 fully funded spots, even though I don't know if they realize that they might not ever compete. And like for some, there's famous coaches that are like heralded as the best coaches who are like, yeah, we recruit you. You're not as good as the elites. Like there's a volleyball coach like this. The Olympians they work out over here and you're behind a curtain over here in the other volleyball gym. And if you want to make it, you have to prove to me that you can compete with these other elites. So it's a tactic that's used to like make people compete for their spots, but I don't think a lot of these, like if you're a national champion in level 10 dev now, that you probably think, yeah, you're going to compete.
Still also level 10. That still exists. It's just not JO anymore.
Yeah. And you're going to, compete for these spots. It can be really demoralizing when you realize like, oh, I'm not.
I think we're in an odd position right now because we got the limit, the expansion of funded potential scholarship spots, which was always capped at 12. Well, always. It's been capped at 12. That was expanded to 20 if the school is willing to pay for it. There's nothing that says you have to pay for 20 scholarship spots on a women's gymnastics team, but you can have up to 20. That was supposed to be paired with the roster limit at 20, which was going to say, let's shrink some of these rosters, which was then not overturned by the judge, but delayed in terms of you can grandfather in people. You don't want to remove scholarships from people who are promised them because of this limit to 20. So basically, in practice, schools do not have to follow this 20-person roster limit like they were going to have to this year. There are plenty of schools that have more than 20.
Yeah.
So you have the expansion of the top teams getting more top athletes without the limit that was hopefully going to come with it, and have more of those athletes who are like the 22nd person on a great team who will never compete, but could go to a team that's ranked like 40th in the country and compete a bunch of routines. And so the hope was that those athletes would then be more distributed to other teams, but that hasn't gone into effect yet. So we haven't seen that part of it. But I'm hoping that, I like it when we see more top gymnasts. Like you may love like going to, Oklahoma, LSU, Florida, and not really competing, but being part of that team. But we would enjoy seeing your gymnastics maybe if you were on a team where you were competing regularly because they needed you. So I think that we're kind of in a transition phase with that. is my impression of where we are.
One other thing I wanted to mention, because we talked about it on College and Cocktails a little bit, and now we have the decision. So there was the first ever known investigation into NIL violations, and it was by the newly formed College Sports Commission into LSU. And we have the result now, and the result is that there was an investigation about and it was rules violations regarding unreported player compensation, and that has ended. 2.5 weeks. It only took 2.5 weeks. This is the fastest thing that's ever happened. SafeSport could never. Football was not the subject of the inquiry. Everyone that I talked to about this was like, well, it's not going to be gymnastics, right? Yeah, it's about football. And I was like, we don't know what it's about, actually. And so it was an inquiry into non-reporting, and LSU said that it has been resolved and that no disciplinary action will be taken, and that they had deals. They have now been submitted. So basically, I feel like there was player compensation, but they just weren't disclosing the player compensation, or players or gymnasts or volleyballers or softballers or whoever it was. We don't know. But yeah, that's interesting that this is how it was resolved. They were just like, you didn't report this. We're going to look into it. Oh, you reported it? Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Let's talk about LA and how to get to the LA Olympics.
Yes. Okay. So this is some good stuff, potentially. Some interesting stuff, because the FIG, the no longer FIG, but we're still going to call it the FIG forever, released the qualification system for LA 2028, the next Olympics, how you qualify. So first of all, the headline stuff is basically the same. The big stuff, it's 5-member teams. The way the teams qualify is the same as it was last quad. So the very top teams from 2026 Worlds will qualify, and then the remainder of the teams will be decided in 2027. All-arounders, that's the same. But there is an interesting change. And going back to a way it used to be a few quads ago, with regard to the individual qualifiers from the Worlds before the Olympics. So this will be the 2027 Worlds. So previously, last quad, the top individual who was eligible on each apparatus got a spot at the Olympics. So this was the whole deal with the Hungarians and Zoya Sekai and Chenga Botskoy, and the issue with the vault final and Joss Robertson pulling out, and Leanne Wong should have been put in, but they did. They put in Botskoy, so then she was the highest individual, so then she got an Olympic spot, and it was a whole deal and a whole mistake. That's the whole qualification pathway that they've changed. So it was just the next person. We take the rankings on this apparatus from Worlds. The next person who didn't have a team or an all-around qualification, they're in. Now we're going back to you had to medal. So the rules say the highest ranked eligible athlete on each apparatus based on the apparatus final results, taking into account athletes ranked 1 to 3. Which is, nonsense speak where you're just like, can you just say, like, if you got a medal, then you
right.
qualify? But yeah, we're taking into account athletes ranked 1 to 3. So if there's a medalist, you get a spot. If not, that spot gets kicked back to the Apparatus World Cup Series in 2028, and then there's more spots there. So basically, we've said you have to be really, really good medal, or that spot's going to the Apparatus World Cups. I like things being based on the Apparatus World Cups because
me too.
It makes that series really exciting.
Makes it matter.
You're really following all those events and how the rankings develop from event to event. You're taking more events into account. So I do like saying, now it's not just like the person who finished 12th at Worlds because they were next. It's, it can go back into the pot to be won later. I think it's good for the top event specialists, especially on risky events like a pommel horse. Like, so for example, if you were a Reese McClenaghan, because that's exactly the kind of athlete this pathway affects, someone who's a one-eventer, who's not going to be an all-around qualifier, doesn't have a big team that might qualify. It's just them. So if you're like Reese McClenaghan and you're like, oh, pommel horse is dumb, but it's the thing I'm really good at, and I fell in qualification this time. That's normal. if you fell in qualification at 2027 Worlds, but it turns out all the medalists are like Patty Hoops and Max Whitlock coming back, and other people from top countries. Han, was it Han who medaled at Worlds this past year? See, this is why we get in trouble when we try to talk about men's, because then I forget the name of the person. Yeah, Han who qualified, who won. On Pommel Horse, yes. Han who won Pommel Horse Worlds this past year. Chinese, they're going to qualify as a team, the US, probably Great Britain. If they all qualify as teams, so those medalists aren't eligible, then the spot just goes back to the World Cup event. So if you're Reese and you're like, I didn't get the spot the big moment when I wanted to, you have an extra spot in the Apparatus World Cup. So you can go do that instead. So it's kind of another lifeline for a top specialist who didn't hit in the moment at Worlds when they needed to get the spot. So it's all the other potential good thing for women, because it's less common that women are going to get these spots at Worlds. I would say the men have more single, like individual from a country who's a single event specialist. More often the women's individual medalists are won by people from the top teams. So kicking those spots back to the 2028 Apparatus World Cup Series is more opportunities for those gymnasts who turn senior in 2028 to get a spot. Because one of the issues is, okay, you turned senior in 2028, but you were able to compete at 2027 Worlds when all of these spots were determined. So yeah, you're a senior, you're eligible for the Olympics, but you don't actually have a great chance to make it. You've got the Continental Championships, the Apparatus World Cups, there are a couple, but there aren't a great chance. This is maybe a little more of a chance potentially for those new seniors in 2028.
So does this help or hurt Chuso? That's the main question.
Well, it depends, because on vault, you could have someone who, because Chuso vault, you could have someone at Worlds in 2027 who qualifies that spot. There are some, country single event specialists who could get it. But she goes to the World Cup events and is good and comfortable with, very familiar with competing week after week in that like World Challenge Cup that elites don't typically do, but like US college students do. You have to be good at, I'm going to go fly to Baku and hit my routine, and then I have to get immediately on a plane and go to Doha and hit my routine, and then I have to go to Germany and hit my routine. And that's its own skill that Chuso is very good at, because she's done it for 80 billion years. So having more spots potentially for those Apparatus World Cups helps someone who's good at Apparatus World Cups, because it's kind of its own skill.
Yep. I'm gonna have to think about this. I need to make my flow chart, as we've discussed,
and as like the caveat
with how to get your favorite gymnast, which we made for what was it, 20? Yeah. What Olympics did Uncle Tim make that? And I was like, this is what I need for my.
He really did it for Tokyo, because it was like, oh my god, this is the most complicated thing in the world. With the caveat for this that it's always a process with these Olympic qualification procedures, and we'll figure it out over the course of the quad and parse what all of this means and what the implications are. But yeah, I think it's a change for your apparatus specialists who aren't going to qualify with a team. I think it's a big development in their planning and what they need to do to qualify.
Speaking of which, and qualifying, and there's just 2 years left until it's 2026 right now, 2027, correct. 2028 is the Olympics. So there's an article in Le Monde about Elena Colas and her French teammate, who are at the same gym that Namor was at, where the coaches have had investigations from the French Federation into them, and there's also a judicial inquiry into her coaches as well that are ongoing. Her coaches aren't allowed to go to the national team camps. So Elena Colas, who is the best French all-arounder right now until Melanie comes back, and she just helped the team win at the Junior Worlds. So this article kind of goes into and interviews her about, why did you decline to go to national team camp? And she's like, well, I want one of my coaches there, and the federation won't let them go. And so, she and her teammate did say, if they continue to block my coaches from being able to coach us, then we might compete for another country. And I was like, but there's only 2 years left. So you can't compete for another country. Because if you change countries now, the new rule is it has to be 3 years before you're allowed to compete for that country. So if she's looking at the 2028 Olympics, they would have had to already switch countries. Is that how you read the rule? The 3 years?
I would need to reread it.
I hate to put you on the spot with the exact.
I know.
rules.
I would need to reread it because it is kind of complicated in who can have competed.
You look at it, and I will give some background on this. So, it used to be that you just had to just needed 2 years to switch countries, but a lot of people switch countries, especially when before Rio they changed the rules so that they made it easier for individuals to qualify. And so a lot of people switch countries, and this has always been a thing. But it happened so much that then they were like, this can't be just for an Olympics. You're going to switch countries and then go back. We want you to actually be competing for this country and take longer, which I'm like, who cares what country you compete for? Like, you know how I feel about it. Let the gymnasts get a chance. You want the best gymnasts, right? Their team is all filled up. Let them compete for somewhere else. So anywho.
If you obtain nationality of your new country and you get the consent of 2 affiliated member federations and the executive committee, you can immediately represent the new country.
Oh, so that changed.
When such consent is not granted, you can represent the new country 1 year after the date of the decision by the executive committee. If you have had a nationality change approved, you cannot change again before 3 years to compete for your third country or go back to the initial country. So the 3 years relates to you changed and now you're changing again.
Changing again. It's the CHUSA
or
rule.
Changing back. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. It's the back and forth. Okay. Interesting that basically if you get approval, so if you
have an in with
your
case. This is a written down if you have an in with everybody.
So this is the Belarusian rule. Like, they already have. You have no you have no connections to the Belo-Americans. Is what I think this comes from. Is basically Belarus had their own gymnast. Nelly Kim was like, you know what? There's these Americans that are pretty good. Let's use them. They just switched countries with no connection to the country at all. Competed for Belarus for a year when they would not have made it to an Olympics if they stayed in the U.S. system. So basically you have to have an in, or I guess it's like if you go to someone on the committee and you say, plead your case and say, like Namor, I want, at the time, she's now written a book and talked about that what she experienced at the gym was not acceptable, the same gym as Elena Colas. But I don't want to do it the way that my country does. I'm going to switch to somewhere else, and you just tell them why, and they can approve you, and you skip the rules.
And that's for immediately. If you don't have all of the approval, it says 1 year, and then 3 years is for the third country or the switch back.
Right.
So you do have enough time to switch now if you have a country you can switch to.
Right. If you have, you can always find a country that'll be like, yeah, we'll definitely make it to the Olympics. Just give me a passport, which is such a good, you guys pick a good country. Pick somewhere that's safe, that has universal health care, that will give you a pension if you do well, that'll actually pay you as an athlete. Doesn't happen in the United States until, listen to this, you guys, the next piece of news. So there is a bazillionaire, Ross Stevens, who has donated $100 million to fund Olympians. Olympians are now going to get $200,000 for being an Olympian. But that's not actually how it works. If starting with these Winter Olympics that are starting this week in Milan, athletes will get $100,000 at age 45 or 20 years after their first Olympic appearance. I feel like Winter Olympics might have more older people, but I don't know, though. The archery has old people always in the Summer Olympics. So I guess if you're...
I feel like the equestrian and the sailing are really the ones in the Summer Olympics that have...
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So you get to sit on something else that will do the work, be it a horse or a boat.
So it's actually whichever comes later. So if you're 45 right now, you still have to wait 20 years.
You have to wait 20 years.
Yeah, to get that money. So it's not like they're paying you for your being an athlete or paying for your training.
You get a retirement.
It's like a pension. And then once you die, your family will get another $100,000. So it's another, like, we'll say like a life insurance policy. So it's interesting that this is essentially like a pension plan for athletes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Does it help in the now when people are trying to fund themselves and they have to work and do this and train? But it's interesting that the more times this counts for every Olympics. So Simone is not eligible for this, but if she was, yeah, she'd have a buttload of extra money because it counts for every Olympics. How many has she been in now? 5, 4, a lot of them.
3.
3. To me, she's just always been there. Yeah, so the USOPC does support training cost awards for medalists, though. It's, when you win a gold medal, it's like, here's your $37,000. It costs you $500,000 to get here per year, but here's your stick of gum and a slap on the ass. Not that I'm scoffing it, money's nice, but it's nowhere near what it costs to become an Olympian. But anyway, that's a really interesting development, and hopefully that will be very well managed as an endowment and exist forever, because it should be enough money to do that. Is that how you would dole out the money if you were doling out the money?
No.
What would you?
You don't give it after you make the Olympics, because that gets messy. It gets messy. You endow the program for the training, but that's not as flashy. And if there's anything I know about bazillionaires, it's they want the flashy, not the helpful.
I would rather see a system, because if you look at this as a retirement plan, I would rather see a system where when you become an Olympian, this money is invested in a trust and gains. Like, the whole thing about money is time and investment, right? This is why if you manage family money right, you can have money that is generationally transformative. This is why vampires are always rich, you guys, because they've had 1,000 years to invest their money. Everybody knows that. So I would rather see that it goes into a fund, it can gain compound interest, and then you get it at 45 or whatever. But it's safe and it's gaining interest, and Warren
I don't think there should be an
age
limit. Like, you don't have either give someone money or don't. Like, don't put your strings on it.
Yeah, 45 or 20 years after. I mean, what about the guy that was 90? It's like he's never going to see that money. I wonder if that was like that 90-year-old competing in the archery or something. Can't remember who it was. But anywho, I would, pensions are supposed to grow. That's what I'm
saying is I don't trust it. I don't trust it.
Yeah. Yeah. So really cool thing happened at the before the Winter Games last week. I don't know if you saw, but the heated rivalry stars walked with the flame. They didn't run the torch anywhere.
You've told me it multiple times. So
but have I said it on the show?
I think so, because we don't talk otherwise.
Yeah, we never speak other than when we are on here. Anyway, you guys, they didn't actually run. They just stood there looking glorious and walked for a little bit, and a lot of people yelled at them like we love you.
Pretend athletes.
They are actual athletes. If you've watched watched Heated Rivalry, which we have a whole podcast episode about it. And my obsession with it continues. And in Flame news, Rebecca Andrade is one of the Olympic flag bearers for the opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics. I didn't even know you could have a non-Olympian. We're flying you in. You don't compete in these events, but you can be a flag bearer.
Did you just describe her as a non-Olympian?
I mean, you're not.
You just described Rebecca
Olympian.
Andrade as a non.
I said it's for winter. Obviously, she could do all the winter sports.
You can do whatever you want.
Yes, but I mean, yeah, it's very interesting. I love this. That
she's not
walking on the Brazilian.
Right. She's not like a Brazilian winter athlete now, although she could. I mean, I don't want her to take up like whatever freestyle skiing, but we all know she could.
Yeah, she would win at everything, but please don't.
But you just have
ACLs.
your general the Beyoncés of the Olympic movement carry the Olympic flag, and she's going to be one of those, of course.
Yeah, exactly. There are athlete reps needed. So if you're interested in being an athlete rep, the deadline is March 6th. So Morgan Hurd, get on that. Fulfill your destiny.
Well, not like Jessica's already decided.
Who I would, if I was hand picking and not going by a list that is maintained and reaching out to everyone and asking if they're interested and then like following a procedure the way it should be, because otherwise you should be opening up yourself to a lawsuit because you haven't followed procedures. If I was doing it, that's how I would do it. But, if I wasn't doing it that way and was just doing whatever I wanted, I would just hand pick people. And be like, Morgan should also be on the selection committee. I think
Morgan
that would be
a great athlete rep. I want the Morgan Hurd energy. Who else? Yes. Who else would you like as an athlete rep? It has to be someone who got the short end of the stick of the system of selection. So they're like, no. I know how bad this can go.
I would like there to be.
I would like to be Vanessa Adler, please. I know there's some sort of statute of limitations in your competition time, but I would like athlete rep Vanessa Adler would be great.
Skinner would like to volunteer herself because I think she thinks in her mind she got the shaft. But I would like someone who's a lawyer or studies.
Okay, who's a lawyer? Tasha?
Tasha's a lawyer, but she was already the make sure you do what you did said in the lawsuit athlete rep. But also one of the, I can see her in my mind. One of the Stanfords. There's a Stanford who is a national team person that's also a lawyer. God, I'm totally blanking on her name. But I do have a giant spreadsheet now of who's eligible. So I'll share. I haven't shared my spreadsheets with you, Spencer. Oh my God. Okay, what else do we want to talk about here?
You wanted to talk about the American Cup roster, right?
Oh yeah, you guys, the American Cup roster. We have the names, and it's freaking exciting. Like, these are the monsters of men's gymnastics, and our favorite women's gymnasts are competing. Hashimoto Daiki, triple Olympic medalist, and did they know about the heated rivalry episode that we did, and this is how they recruited the gymnasts for this? Zhang Bohang is also competing.
Okay, but here's my thing though. He's listed as a reserve.
I know.
So what's going on there? Is this a like, I'm not ready yet, but I'll put my name on it? Or is this like, we'll see, I'm going to be a reserve, but if I'm like actually am in shape and want to do this, I'll pop in at the last second. Like, I don't know why, because, under normal circumstances, your best gymnast would never be in a reserve situation, but it's early in the year. People might be ready or not ready.
Here's what I think about this. I think some of these teams are bringing, like, some teams are just like, here's 2 people. If anything happens, we're out. And
like
other
Japan,
teams,
which is so the Japan Federation.
Yes, they're
be like we'll have maybe the minimum, and maybe we won't use all the spots, and that's just what we're doing.
And then China's like, everyone's coming to Vegas. But I think that's part of they are bringing a full team, and only one man can compete, but they're bringing a whole team, and I think that's part of the strategy.
No, three can be on. the roster. 3. And then 2, like no more than 2 on each apparatus.
Yeah, sorry. That's the format that they're using, which is going to be the Olympic format that they're using here.
I think other notable things: Great Britain, Ruby Evans, Aaliyah Leet, and Abigail Martin are their 3 women. Great. I am disappointed that Jake Jarman is not on the men's list because we need a mixed team reunion of Jake Jarman and Ruby Evans. So that's a shame. Other favorites of ours, Alba Petisco of Spain is on the list. China's women's group, so they have Chu Chi-yun, Zhang Qingying, and Zhang Yihan as their 3 to compete right now, which is a very strong group. China's throwing it down to the US. Like, you're not going to be able to just walk to this like home Vegas win. Like, you got to bring some scores, because we're bringing some scores.
Yep. And the other thing is, so I just want to talk about China again, bringing all these people. This is a strategy. You go, you watch what's happening in training, and then you say, oh, we have someone who has a higher D score, we know can outscore the person that they're going to use, so we're going to replace that person and put them in. Technically, I know you can't do this, but people get hurt.
Large programs, often like the U.S. women's program, oftentimes also like international competitions where they can get a lot of people experience in one go. Like they always, like the U.S. women have always liked to go to Yesolo rather than the apparatus World Cups, because you can send like 58 million people to Yesolo and just be like, everyone got their international assignment. So I think there's also like, if you have a lot of people, you want to get your money's worth out of sending people to this competition in the US by just like, okay, a lot of people can get their, international experience out of the way, I guess, with this competition.
Also, Natalia Escalera from Mexico is competing. Love her. Yeah, I'm super excited for this meet. I can't wait to go and watch everything and see what the strategy is. And it's really exciting. I just hope
and there's more TBD. We don't know the Spanish men. We only know the women listed. So there's TBD on this as well.
Yeah. And the Americans will be selected after Winter Cup. I think it's I hope everyone has a really great experience at this meet.
Jessica's putting on her, I just want all the, what is that hat that's like, I just want everyone to have a great time for the two best players to kiss afterward?
Yes, that is what I'd like to know. What I mean is, like, remember when, we used to at least get one star. Like in the 70s and 80s, the American Cup was a big deal and you had really big, like great, amazing gymnasts competed in. And then it started to go downhill and it just wasn't what it used to be. And then there was the time that we had Mustafina came and competed and she was like, this is the worst I've ever been treated. This is the worst hotels, the worst food. I've been all over the world and this is the worst meet I've ever been to and this is trash. And then after that, it was a real dumpster dive in terms of like trying to get athletes there. And, of course, like it was always called Scam Cup forever because of the judging. So I'm just hoping everyone has a really good experience and they feel like the judging is very fair and it's great for everyone. And so this meet can attract more talent because I think March is the minimum prep time for a meet like this. No one's going to be ready before March.
I mean, March has always been an adventure with the American Cup.
Right. So it could be later in March or probably be better.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, China has registered a great team, but the Chinese men's history at American Cup was often like, I might go and fall in everything and you're all just going to be okay with that. I might not be ready yet.
Which honestly we are, because their gymnastics is so amazing. I could watch them all day. So I'm super excited about this meet. I can't wait. And yes, we will be there. And maybe we'll have some kind of event. I don't know. We're figuring it out. But we'll also have a college and cocktails because that is the Barbosu versus Chiles Stanford UCLA meet on the same day, which is like, and there's like
too stressful.
State championships on that day too. And I'm like, you guys,
state championships.
Dikey is coming to the United States. All other gymnastics meets should be canceled.
Who cares? What state? Who cares about a state championship?
Well, because then people can't come because they're competing or they're judging or they're coaching.
Oh, ew.
Right.
Well, don't.
Everyone go to this meet instead. There is an adult competition if you guys love adult gymnastics like I do. There's an adult competition happening at the same thing. Lucky Stars, Lucky something is happening at the same time. So you can compete in that as well and watch the amazing gymnasts. We have tons of questions that we will try to get to on College and Cocktails this week because we have many letters, but we've been doing a great job of getting to our letters. We don't have 50 pages of letters like we had the last 10 years. We've been like, you guys, we're answering your questions. We're doing a really good job. So we will see you to answer your questions and discuss the meet live this Saturday, not Friday, Saturday, February 7th. It's the day before the Green Day and Bad Bunny concert. Saturday, February 7th.
Day after the Winter Olympic opening ceremonies that I am hoping is so deeply Italian that there's a lot to talk about.
Oh, I can't wait.
However, dear Winter Olympics, however Italian you think you're going to be, just do like 10 times more, because that is what I want.
Yes. Ooh, I'm so excited. So we're watching Cal versus Clemson on the ACC network, and then right after that, we will start around 5-ish and do College and Cocktails. The drink is correct. And again,
and the lesson is that both bears and tigers have both paws and claws.
That's right. So we will see you guys there. Don't forget that the fantasy show is coming up every Wednesday. And even if you don't play in our fantasy league, which you can join at any time, there's weekly winners. You don't have to do it in December. It's helpful information no matter what league you're in. And so
or if you just want to know who's doing well.
Yeah.
Do you want us to go through the top gymnasts in college and who's scoring well and talk about our reactions to them? That's that podcast. That's what it's for.
That's what we do. So until later this week on the fantasy show and then College and Cocktails on Saturday, please remember to take off on gay, split so hard on rights. And thank you for listening. We'll see you later this week.